All right, we're back with another episode of Engineering Culture with my main man. I don't know if we can say friend. I don't want to go too far because people will see this and they already accuse me of being a Westside homer anyway. So Westside, Omaha Westside superintendent Mike Lucas, who I've known for a decade.
Well, yeah,
feels like about 10 years or so.
Yeah.
So we're here to talk about culture building, what it means. So let's just start there. What does culture mean to you as not a coach, but you've been around athletics, you're a big sports guy.
Yeah.
And I think people know that if they know you.
Yeah.
But it's something that's important to you, I know, as far as culture is concerned.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. And I've studied culture my whole career. I've been a superintendent for 20 years. And when I think of culture, I think of it's defined as the set of shared attitudes, values, goals, practices that, it's what you stand for as an institution.
Mm-hmm.
It's who you are. It's how you do things. It's how you spend your time, how you allocate your resources as a school district. And it's shaped by what you talk about and what you dream about.
How do you, when you talk about and dream about, so I want to touch on the dream about, like, I dream of having hair again and being 6'4", 220, but sometimes that can't happen.
I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, we're looking at more things that we can control in our culture.
Okay. Yeah. Like, for example,
work ethic, expectations, relationships, communication, and one of my favorite quotes is "Control what you can control," and it's those intangibles that you can control. Do you show up to work on time? Are you a good teammate? Do you have a positive attitude? Do you help the team, the organization, the school get better? Those are the culture things that we can't control. Unfortunately, we can't control hair. I wish my metabolism was a little quicker. I mean,
I'll trade. You want to trade?
I'll give you some hair for some metabolism. Yeah.
You've been in small towns. Yeah. You've been in medium-sized, I guess, towns in Nebraska called York Medium, right?
Yeah, small, medium.
Even a little York still.
Little old York.
Yeah. But you're now at Westside, and it's a bigger district, clearly. Comes with a lot of different challenges. Is the culture different? Do you got to change the culture at every place? Or is it like, as a leader, this is kind of what I want the culture to be no matter where I'm at?
Yeah, it's a lot more commonality than you would think. So I've been lucky to live in West Point, Nebraska, great community, Franklin, Nebraska, York, and now Omaha. And really the things we talked about in West Point in 2000 or the things we talked about in Franklin in 2004 are the same things we talk about at Westside. It's just a bigger scale, but it's, accountability, responsibility, ownership of your personal space, what you bring to the team, kind of a we over me mentality. It's the same things that it's scalable from small, medium to large, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Who do you look to as your mentor? Do you have favorites, whether it be people you talk to or don't, or follow or see, or have read books you've read, things like that? Is there something, I guess, let's start with there.
Yeah. So people that I haven't met that I look up to would be Bobby Bowden, or I've met Coach Bowden a couple times. But
I like how you say Coach Bowden, Florida State fan.
Yeah, but I don't know Coach Bowden, but I met Coach Bowden several times. But Bobby Bowden and Bill Parcells, a lot of the things that I believe about culture come from those two. A couple of my favorite quotes come from Parcells. What you tolerate, you encourage.
Yeah.
Think about that. The other one is all winning organizations have a comfortable level of discomfort. That's a Parcellsism, and I love that. And the longer I'm in the game, the more I realize how true that is, because we grow as families, we grow as small businesses, we grow as school districts when we are committed to the culture to have difficult conversations, to push ourselves, to expect more out of ourselves than anybody else will, but also to have high expectations of our teammates. So those things really ring true. And then Coach Bowden, the things I picked up from him were just the importance of relationships, the importance of communication, and the importance of showing vulnerability as a leader. People have to see you as one of them.
One thing I like about you, I guess, and your leadership style from afar, because I've never worked with you. I've never, like, we talked about this stuff a little bit before, but I've never, been in the trenches, I guess, with you on it. Is you aren't afraid to be transparent and publicly transparent as possible.
Yeah, I like that. I've never, I've just made that way. I've never been afraid to be outspoken. Sometimes, or oftentimes, there comes some backlash with that. Not everybody's going to love it, but my grandmother was real big on honesty and transparency, and that's really kind of always stuck with me throughout the journeys. And I learned too in school leadership that people are going to say all kinds of things about you anyway. So you might as well go ahead and tell them what you're thinking right from the horse's mouth, or what you believe in or what you don't believe in, since it's going to be talked about anyway.
It's kind of hear from me first.
Yeah. I don't need people down at the coffee shop speaking for me. I'm a big boy, and I'll tell you what I think myself. And I think the transparency piece is very important because we deal with a lot of taxpayer dollars. Westside is, we're a school district of 6,200 students, but we're a $95 million a year business. And people don't always equate those two things hand in hand. And so we need to be very transparent to our taxpayers, to our parents, to the state legislature, to the state of Nebraska.
And when you make a mistake, you own it. I've seen you do that before. Hey, we messed up here. And this is why, and this is how we're going to get better.
And
a lot of people don't do that.
No, and I learned that, that's a Coach Bowden thing, just the humility that, hey, we're not perfect. You'll always hear us talk about me as an individual, Westside as an organization. We're always a work in progress. We're never going to be where we want to be, but we're going to enjoy the journey of success.
Yeah, I enjoy the journey is part of the culture, I guess.
Yeah. Part of our culture, we talk about success as a journey. It's not a destination, and so you have to put things into place to keep you on the right track. You have to have a common language throughout your culture. You have to have a real definite picture of who you are as an organization. So I'll give you another person I look up to who I've never met, Pat Riley. And I love his quote, former Lakers coach, right? The main thing is to keep the main thing, the main thing.
Yeah.
And so, the clutter that comes, especially now in the political climate we live in, and attack on public education and all these other things, it's so important for us as school leaders to focus on our classrooms. That's the most important thing going on a day-to-day basis in any school district in the state of Nebraska. And your culture allows you to prioritize that and keep all the things that you can't control out of the way, from dealing with third graders learning how to multiply today, ninth graders working on essays, and so on.
How big of a role do sports play in developing a culture inside of a school district? I guess activities. Let's not just go sports.
Activities are huge, and I lived this as a young poor kid growing up in Florida. School activities really saved me and gave me something to look forward to, and I've seen it all throughout my career. In Franklin, Nebraska, it was FFA and wrestling were the big deals. At Westside, show choir is a phenomenal activity. And track and field and all, dance and football and soccer and everything else we have going on. The activity world is critically important because it allows our kids to hang out and learn how to be part of a team with people who have a similar interest. Take our show choir, for example. They're getting ready to go to St. Louis this weekend, and they work so hard together. You've been part of teams. They understand that bond. They learn through their activities more than you do in an Algebra 2 class. You learn that when you don't feel like working hard, when you feel like taking the day off, when you're part of an activity, you don't, because you don't want to disappoint the person to your left or right.
That's I think it was you that I talked to. We're talking about, it was recent, and it was hey, like I would never skip practice when I was in high school. Like I would never do that. I would never, I wanted to go to school. I was mad when I couldn't go to school.
Right.
And like, or, not if, what else would I be doing? If I was sick and like couldn't go to school, I would be just like, ugh.
Right.
Because the social interaction piece too, one, and two, like I'd be letting my teammates down. Like there's just, I would never just skip practice.
Right. And I'll tell you a funny, quick story. I was a football, baseball, basketball guy in high school. But I've been late one time in my life, 5th grade football. I was 10 minutes late to practice, and my coach made me run the entire practice, 95-degree Florida heat, humidity, with a spare tire around my waist, full pads. And I've never been late again because you learn a lot of things through activities that maybe you don't always learn in the classroom. And it's that sacrifice and that team above others. And I believe it makes you a better family person. It makes you a better employee because you understand that being a good teammate is translatable to everything else you're going to do in life.
Right. That's, I guess, another piece of, is, first of all, let's just back up a little bit. Is culture such an overplayed word?
Culture is an overplayed word, and I think.
So what's the?
Yeah, I mean, so people.
What replaces it?
Yeah, then? people will see a teenager, doing a bad thing on a Saturday afternoon, and say, "Oh, he must go to a school that has a bad culture."
Right.
Culture is really, goes back to what you hitch your wagons to. What are you about? And it's having a common language, having a clear mission of what you want to do. Westside football is a great example, and their culture game plan. It started with Brett Freund, all for one for all.
Right.
That was kind of the overarching umbrella of what their culture was about. Coach Lamanji came in. He's kept all for one for all. He's added effort and toughness to that, ET. And so everything that they do comes back to those 3 sources. And whether you're in the weight room or whether you're doing 7-on-7 or whatever, it all comes back to ET and all for one for all. As a school district, we have a culture game plan for our admin team. And and we're trying to, we value accountability, clarity, communication, courage, pride, and trust. And we have different commitments that help keep us focused on what we're trying to do for our students, staff, and community.
How hard is it to know if people aren't rowing in the same direction?
It's not.
Or is it not, because if you have it established enough, it kind of sticks out?
I think if you have it, if your culture is ingrained enough, it takes care of a lot of the folks that, the thing I've noticed about culture that we've done in York and other places is people can fake it for a year, maybe 2. But after that, you hope that your culture has become so positive, so laser focused on getting better, making a positive difference in the lives of young people, that the folks that aren't bought in, they can't take it. And they just kind of work them way out
on their own.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to help some work their way out. But the majority of the time, they work their way out because they don't want to put their heart and soul into something like the 80 to 90% that have really bought in.
I'm going to go sports.
Yeah.
Because that's the world I live in most of the time. And sports, I think, are so big in communities, especially, let's just look at Nebraska, small town communities. It is the lifeblood.
It is.
Of a Friday night or a Saturday night basketball game or something. And everyone in the community, that's what they talk about if it's a big game. And, oh, man, we got this team and all that. It also can be a picture of what your school district's culture is.
It is. It can be.
And how delicate is that?
It's very delicate, and I'll take it a step further, Mike. When I was in Franklin and the Franklin Flyers would host the Red Cloud Warriors in basketball on a random Friday night, that's the biggest economic development that takes place in Franklin that month. Right. And so it is a great snapshot of your community, what you value. And it kind of goes back to a lot of things that many of us heard from our grandparents. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. And my philosophy in education has been, kind of like an old football coach. Academics are always going to be our number one thing. Yeah. Okay. That's always
going to be the main thing.
That's always the primary focus. But why shouldn't we aspire to be great in academics, activities, and extracurriculars? If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right.
Yeah.
Be great in everything. Because I'll tell you what I've seen schools that have very successful activity programs. I guess I've never seen a school that has a very successful activity program that wasn't a very successful school.
Right.
I have a philosophy. If you win in volleyball, you're probably winning in pre-calculus too.
Yeah.
If your cross country team is great, you're probably great in English 11 as well, because winning is winning. And that's the culture piece. That's where kids have to realize, hey, when I go to this school, we have high expectations across the board. We behave a certain way in the lunchroom. We behave a certain way, walking around campus, and we behave this way on Friday nights. And we're here to win. We're here to get better. We always give the old line. You probably heard from old coaches too. We remind our kids all the time, hey, you're not only representing yourselves and your families, you're representing your community and your alumni.
For sure.
And that's a huge responsibility.
Yeah. Because I just look at places that I go to, and you can tell from an outside perspective, if you walk into gym, football field, whatever it may be, you can just tell that it's like they don't win because you can just feel it.
You can. Little things. Is the parking lot full of litter and trash? Right. Probably not winning a lot if it is. Is there, the pregame music, the concession stand, just the organization, the uniformity, it sticks out when it's done right.
Right. That's very good. Okay. Last thing here, maybe last topic / question. We'll see where it goes. What needs to change in order to be successful from a district at a school district level for everyone to succeed in everything that they do? What's the number one thing that, like, day one, this is what would need to change if you're taking over a struggling district or not, or what? I'm not saying you have. I just am.
You have to get buy-in to the mission. Buy into them, and everybody has to realize what their part is to the mission. And the mission, at Westside, our mission is to become the best school district in the state of Nebraska. And everybody has to buy into that. We have to ask ourselves a very critical question that a lot of teams and organizations leave out. And it's this question: what will you accept as evidence that we are becoming the best school district in Nebraska? And that's what's just shaped our most recent strategic plan. But to that point of everybody buying in, great story about JFK when he was visiting NASA down in Texas, and he was getting a tour of the recent space program, and he saw a custodian late at night mopping a hallway. And President Kennedy goes up to him and goes, "Oh, thank you for doing such a good job of cleaning the facility." And the custodian says, "Mr. President, I'm not just cleaning the facility. I'm helping to put a man on the moon." And that buy-in is what you're looking for. And everybody has to see that, from students to parents to grandparents, taxpayers, and certainly all staff.
That's good stuff. All right. That's the man, Mike Lucas, Omaha Westside superintendent. Dr. Lucas. Feels weird me saying that.
Hey, if I can get a doctorate, anybody can. There's hope for everybody, all your listeners.
Yeah, I appreciate you and your time and our relationship. You've given me a lot of great advice in the past, and continue to. And Thank you for taking the time.
Oh yeah,
to do this,
and thanks for all you do for young people and old people in Nebraska. So we appreciate your what you do and how you do it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right.
A Hurrdat Sports Network production.